Hey, Lisbeth, how are you today?
I'm good, Michelle. How are you?
Good. You want to discuss some hiring strategies for flooring retailers?
I do. It's something that we all need to get kind of caught up on it because it keeps changing. So
Hmm.
I'm really glad that we can get a chance to discuss this.
Yeah. Especially recently, it's changed really rapidly. So let's talk about your impressions on kind of the state of the workforce right now.
Okay. So we have to kind of look at what people are going through in the workplace. Depending upon the size of your flooring business will depend on how you recruit. So let's say you are $5 million or larger, and you're looking for salespeople that you expect to bring in 1 million or 2 million a year, and you're going to pay them six figures. That's different than a smaller store who is doing maybe 1 million, maybe really struggling to get to 1 million, but they're looking for a different salesperson. They're not going to pay six figures. At the most, maybe the salesperson is going to earn 60,000 at the most. So we're looking maybe at a base salary of 40 or 45,000, which may seem low, but if you go out and you ask a lot of retailers what they're paying, that's what they're paying. So
Mm-hmm.
if you were to go look at that and look at the rest of the world, I mean, we kind of complained, or we didn't, but there were people complaining because people were getting $600 on unemployment.
Mm-hmm.
$600 on unemployment is $15 an hour. It was no big deal, but it was a big deal for people that were in the food industry because their base is 780. So now that's changed. So the reason I'm bringing that up, it depends on, first of all, who are you looking for? What are they going to earn? And what do you expect them to do for your store? That's really what's changed. I don't think we thought about that before. Now, why has it changed? Because we have all kinds of issues for people. I
Mm-hmm.
never heard of food insecurities. I mean, not put that way. People who can afford a rent. I have a great old house, and everybody says, "Oh, you should sell it. You get a bundle." Where am I going? I
Mm-hmm.
can't afford another house, right? I can't afford to pay the kind of rent that I'm going to have to pay because I sold this house.
Right.
So I've got those two kinds of issues. Every week I don't know what I'm going to have to pay for food. So people out there have issues. Now let's talk about women and hiring women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Businesses want women to work there. We know women make great salespeople. They do. They're charming. They know how to be charming, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they say, I know how to do this. I know how to do this. They're good at it. And a lot of them are, when it comes to design and colors, they also sort of have a natural for that. You can kind of tell by the way they dress, as opposed to, with all due respect, the guy who shows up with whatever he's wearing. But
Mm-hmm.
are very conscious of these kind of things. So they make good salespeople.
They
And
do. And the same thing that makes them good salespeople also makes them very good at taking care of other people. So oftentimes, the same person that would be your best salesperson also has a lot of other demands on their time. What do you
well,
think?
go
Yeah.
ahead. That's
No.
what I was going to start to say. Yes, because, okay, so hiring women is so much different these days. I mean, we knew that women have always been the caretakers in the family. You know, it's really funny. I was watching yesterday. I was watching 1962, and it was about Robert, of course, not Robert Kennedy, but John Kennedy, and it was talking about the whole space race. And
Mm-hmm.
it had the women, it interviewed the women whose husbands were the astronauts. And this is what they said. This was in 1962. They said, we don't even know where our husbands are. We just have to take care of the kids. We have to manage the money. We have to make sure the kids are in school. We never get times to be with our husband. They're just out all the time, and they're out all night.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what they're doing. I'm looking at this 1962, and I'm thinking, women 1962, we're expected to do everything, right? In those days, a lot of them, they just couldn't work, right? Or they didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Now, fast forward now. Okay, so now we still have to take care of the house. The pandemic had started, right? So what did that do? Well, what it meant was our caregiving status just went up off the end chart. So
Mm-hmm.
now here we are looking at grandparents, we're looking at parents, and people that are in our lives that maybe lived 3 miles from us, but now all of a sudden they have some kind of memory issues, they have some kind of issues, they want to go into some kind of a different living situation, and now we have to watch them too. We have to make sure they're okay. And then there were times we couldn't go in there, right? You
Mhm.
couldn't visit anybody. Okay, so we had those two things to take care of. Then there was school. And
Mhm.
my neighbor across the street works for a not-for-profit. She has a very high-level job, and she has one child, and he's 12. I can tell you, when I used to see her a lot, because we walked through the pandemic, we would do our 4 miles every morning. She said to me, I don't know if I can go to work. I
Mhm.
don't know if there's going to be daycare when my son gets home, or where can he stay. Those little classes he used to go to after school are no longer open. And she
Mhm.
said, I don't know until I get up in the morning whether or not he can even go to school.
Mhm.
So now you become, as a woman, you become the babysitter and the teacher.
Mhm.
Now, if you have a young child who has to go to daycare, you've got that issue too, right?
Yeah,
So you have all these issues, plus now you're the teacher. So now you have to stay home and teach.
exactly.
Why
So,
am why am I saying this? The reason I'm saying this is because if you're recruiting, you have to take these things into consideration, and you've got to figure out how you're going to help fix this.
mhm.
Years ago, people who were hiring, they're mostly guys, said no. In fact, they said if she's too young, she's in her 20s, I don't want to hire her because she's going to have a baby.
Okay, so the 40-hour work week is really kind of a post World War II relic. It's not realistic. It's not realistic for women or
Not
anybody with, more than a job as their primary responsibility. So, what mistakes are retailers making when it comes to bringing that into consideration in their hiring process?
It's a terrific question, because I think a lot of them, they still look at it as they did maybe 20 years ago. And what they looked at was you just hired somebody. It wasn't your job to worry about whether or not that kid could be in daycare. You didn't care whether or not they had to cook dinner.
Mhm.
In fact, if they had to run out in the middle of the day because their child was sick and they had to go to the school, they were basically annoyed.
Mhm.
They didn't bother themselves. Only the real spectacular ones. I knew a retailer in Pennsylvania, floor covering, who actually opened a daycare center. Now, it wasn't exactly he didn't have licensed daycare group, but he did have somebody licensed to be in with kids after school. So he said, listen, Liz, these women, I have all women salespeople, and I have to tell you, they are terrific. They are so, but they have so many demands. Like,
Mhm.
if a child gets sick during the day, they have to go.
Right.
So I decided to put in an after school program, which meant that the kids would all come to my store at the end of the day. They would know where the kids were. Listen, every woman in town who was worth it wanted to work for me
Mhm.
because they knew that I cared. And as we go into the next 10, 15 years, retailers have to begin to look at that they have new responsibilities. Now, interestingly enough, Walmart has just put in, they do, of course, their own classes, and they
Mhm.
are very techy. You want to hire somebody? Go to Walmart and go look for a manager, because they know how to get the job done, and they are techy, and they take no crap from anybody. I'm telling you, I did some work with Walmart for about 8 months. I was scared. They knew what they had to do. So the thing is that we have to really look at what our whoever we're going to hire, what it is they need, right, to be in our business. We can't lump them all in one place. We've got to make sure we figure out that what do they need and how can I give it to them. The biggest mistake we make, and that, I'm sorry, was your simple question, was that we don't think about that. There
Mhm.
are people out there that are hiring are still thinking, that's not my issue. She needs
Mhm.
to figure out. No. And how much, think about this. You would know, you were a single parent at one point, right?
Yep.
So let's say you're a single parent. It's even worse as a single parent, right? Because you don't even have somebody at home you can say,
Mhm.
it's your turn, right?
Right.
Cook and to take care of the kids. So
Right.
that is the big mistake. that they're making. Now, that's not only a mistake with women.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I started talking about Walmart, and that's where I don't know. But anyway, what happened at Walmart is Walmart decided that they need to put in a whole new learning structure for their employees. And I think this is something for us to learn because, again, we're competing against everybody out there to hire people.
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to look at what they need. So Walmart's figured out they need that the people who work for them need to learn how to buy a house, take care of their money, buy a car, deal with issues, family issues. And so they put in a whole learning section of how to do that for employees. And
Mm-hmm.
I think, see, before you even decide to recruit, you've got to understand who you're looking for. And
Right.
so I think this is terrific.
Right. You've got to understand what that ideal candidate values, and information is starting to come in that shows that people and top level employees are placing a higher value on support and resources for them as an individual and flexibility. So, not every retailer can incorporate a daycare center into their location, but what are some practical ways that they can appeal to that type of person?
Nicely put. You always have a way of putting things very succinctly. So what do you do maybe as part of your package? And you know that I'm teaching a class at Surfaces, right? I'm going to
I do.
right. I'm teaching a class on hiring at Surfaces, and this is one of the things I'm talking about. So,
I know about it, Liz, but for the viewers, what day, what time, and where?
okay, so it will be on a Wednesday, the 2nd of February, and it will be from 11 to 12. I don't know exactly where it is. I'll have to look
It
on
is
the
on the main stage
It
at the
is?
Bay Convention Center, and it will also be broadcast virtually through the International Surfaces event website.
Okay, so that's where it will be. So wait, what was the question that you just asked me before that?
Practical ways to provide flexibility and resources and support for individuals.
Right. Okay, so here's the thing. In your hiring package, and I'm going to talk about this more there, is in your hiring package, let's say you have a basic, it's $45,000. Let's just say we're looking for, this is a smaller store, right? And so we're trying to figure out, how do I compete? And the reason I brought up Walmart is because you need to go look at what are stores doing to attract and keep. Okay, so let's just say you decide that what you can do is you could give a $50 allowance for gas, which would be an interesting, and $50 a week, right? So, or $50 a month for gas turns out to be, if you multiply that time, that's $600 a year, right? And let's say you decide that you can give them, that you go out and you begin to look at daycare centers and after school programs for kids. So maybe you make a deal with an after school program for kids, right? And so maybe that costs you $100 a month, which might be a lot, but multiply that times 12, right? That's a lot of money. And if you add that to what you're paying, all of a sudden you look very, very attractive. And maybe it's $100 a month in what you're paying, that what you're saying you're paying, but maybe you get it for less, right? Because you say, I'm going to offer this to my employees. And so maybe you get money off on that, or you get a special kind of deal for it. Begin to look at, maybe you give, now here's the big one I hear, unlimited time off. Now people go, what? I can't let them have. Yes, you can, as long as they tell you and you get so much paid and the rest is not paid. But you have an emergency. People say, you have an emergency tomorrow? Yeah, I have an emergency coming tomorrow. I know it's going to be an emergency because my aunt is in this extended care facility. I need to go there and sign papers. I need the day off. Now, I know that this is difficult for people who own businesses, but this is what people want. They need time off. It's not like it was before the pandemic. We don't know. Look, we don't know from day to day whether we're wearing a mask, right? Not in work, we don't know.
Right. So how do you convey that in your job posts? You come up with some ideas that are going to help you to attract the right person. Where do you find them online, and what do you say about the role to get their attention?
Okay, so first of all, you hire from within. That is the first thing you have to begin to look at.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people say, I can't get anybody to stay in the warehouse. I hire and they leave. Well, who wants to be in the warehouse for the rest of their lives? I mean,
Right.
that's like, I need a job tomorrow. There's a warehouse job. It's so funny because I happen to have a young friend of mine who moved here from another state, and I got him a job running a warehouse. He has way, way better skills than that.
Mm-hmm.
He got a job with friends of mine who own a nice floor covering store. And I told my friends, look, he has a lot of skills. My suggestion is, one, you give him a title. Give him a title, vice president of the warehouse. Second of all, you get them away so they can move within the organization. Within 6 months, you're going to see whether or not they are capable of selling. Now, I'm telling you, this is interesting because there is a woman that I coached that I know very well. She's in our group, and she had 6 people. And I met with each one of them online individually. Actually, I was at her store for 3 days. Then I met with them online, each one of them individually, found out what they liked, what their skills were, because she said to me, I have a couple of them, they are not doing their job.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do with them. Well, we found out that the one person was really like the install piece. He was on the sales floor, couldn't sell nothing to nobody, but we sent him out with the installer. He had some really good skills. Now he's in training to be an installer.
Mm-hmm.
Another woman who was pretty good with sales, and I could get her up to speed, so I did. She and I spent maybe a month together, and she took one of my classes. She's really good, but we found out that her Pinterest, she was so much into Pinterest, it was incredible.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of our conversation, we found out that's what she was good at. So now she's in charge of social media. So she's got a title, right?
Yep.
Salesperson, salesperson supreme, and social media collaborator.
Matching people with their natural strengths. How did that look? How did you pull that out of them and discover where they really shine?
This is something, while you're interviewing, this is also what you should be doing. It's really finding out about who people are. We talk about these days, particularly, people join, they want to work for you because we have our values aligned, right?
Mm-hmm.
We think about the same things, we worry about the same things, and we care. And that, if you're looking to hire, if you're looking 25 to 35, it's all about value. So one of the things you want to ask is, tell me, what do you do at home? What are the kind of fun things you like to do? And you do this, not you and I sitting behind the desk. You and I are walking through the store.
Mm-hmm.
So let's walk through the store. Let me show you our place. And you introduce them. And you introduce them and you tell them a little bit about that person. And then you begin to ask them, what do you like to do? So what you're looking for is, who are they really? What are the things that really are exciting for them? And we know they could kind of put their heart in. The second thing, what are they like when they meet these people? Are they kind when they meet people? Can they smile? Do they know how to say hello?
Mm-hmm.
What are they like within my organization? By the time you walk through the warehouse and you get all the way back, you're going to know.
Mm-hmm.
You ask the right questions. And listen, interviewing is both a skill and an art. The skill is, and you've got something we're going to hand out, right? We have something we're going to give the people who are here today, that when they're hiring, things that they can ask. I think that's your question, is it? Or whatever you've got.
We put together a candidate evaluation form.
Candidate evaluation. Mm-hmm. So that's basically what I'm talking about. So that you're going through and you're listening and you're looking, mm-hmm. and you're saying, does this person meet what I need? Do they know how to act with the people in my organization? Are they empathetic? Do they know how to connect with people? And so that is one way that you can begin to hire. And again, you're going to hire from within, and then you're going to bring people in who fit.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest thing we do, the biggest mistake we do, and somebody in our group, you remember, she told me when we were at FloorCon, she said, Liz, I was going to talk to you and I never did because I said I had the right candidate. She's just like me. That's the biggest mistake you can make, is to hire somebody exactly like you. What do you need another person like you for?
Right.
You need somebody who compliments you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right? You're so good at technology and stuff, right? And I could just talk myself and everybody else to death. But those are two skills.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have your skills, right?
So how do you spot the right skills as candidates are coming across your email inbox and applying to open positions from outside? How do you tell which ones to interview and which ones to pass on?
Well, I have to tell you, a friend of mine who does interviewing, I said the same question to him. He
Mm-hmm.
said, I get so, now this was before the pandemic because it's not the same anymore. I
Right.
get so many people that apply. I said, so how do you figure it out? He said, I just throw them all up in the air because they pretty much have the same qualifications. And when it hits the ground, I
Mm-hmm.
pick the right one. Here's something I think is very, very, very clever. Okay, so you're going to look at those resumes. But when you do your advertisement, you're going to advertise for the next 5 years. You don't want to hire somebody who knows today. What you put in that advertisement is beginning to look at people who want to learn, people who are creative, people who are excited about the world,
Mm-hmm.
because you need people that are going to be able to change like this, right?
Right.
Any minute they're going to be able to change. So that is one of the things that you're looking for. So now you have it in front of you and you're looking at it and you're saying, is this person a fit for me? How do I know I should go to the next interview, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
basically what you're asking. So what you're going to do is you should have in your mind your own kind of little training program. Let's say you're hiring a salesperson. And let's say Michelle is the best salesperson I have. So I know what Michelle does really, really well. In fact, I have a list of those behaviors. And I say she builds good rapport. And then I have a little thing about how she does it, because this is what you should be doing before you hire. So now I have this whole thing about Michelle. And so now I have Liz sitting in front of me, and I'm going to ask her questions about the same thing that Michelle does. I'm going to say,
Mm-hmm.
now, how would you build rapport? And the person says, well, I would find out about this person. I would try to get to know them better. And I look, and that's what Michelle does. And I say, okay, that's good. Or the person says, I don't know, I guess I just have to wait. Okay, they get an X here because that's not what Michelle does.
Right.
So you really have to have an idea of what that perfect candidate does in your store, right?
Right.
You got them, they work for you. The
Mm-hmm.
real thing is to figure out how they do it. And now the second thing is, if somebody looks promising, I suggest you interview them with Michelle. If she's your role model, have that person come in and have a conversation with Michelle. She could also, or he could have a conversation with other people who work in your business.
Mm-hmm.
I
And then
don't,
you'll be able to tell right away, based on how the interaction goes, if they're even going to mesh with your culture, which is so critical right now, right?
that's right. And that's the mistake we make. We say, oh, I got along so well with that person. It was almost like I'd known her for years. This is what the woman in our group said. She said, Liz, I hired that woman. She turned out to be so bad in 3 weeks. I couldn't believe how I hated her.
And what do you do, Liz, when you find out that you got the wrong one?
Okay, here's the deal. First of all, when you make the agreement to hire them, I would suggest you put them on a 30-day program. Okay, it's 30 days. This is what we're going to ask you to learn. This is how we're going to teach you. And we will evaluate that at the end of 30 days. And we will decide at that point if it works for us and it works for you. You need to do this, because if you don't do this, they're going to be there 6 months, a year, and you're going to say, I should have fired him. I should have fired him before. I knew I should have gotten rid of him, but you didn't have a way to do that. So if
So you got an out right from the get-go.
right from the get, it's like having a prenup. It's like a prenup is what you have, If this is what I got, this is what you got. We're going to bring them together and we're going to see if they work. And if they don't work, we're out of here. And I think what happens is we get stuck because we're always desperate for somebody. And it's not a question of always hiring. It's always be thinking about hiring. So now you're okay. So first we start from within. Why not take that person from the warehouse and start teaching them other things? We know that people who work for us they have certain skills and attributes that we don't have to watch them for 30 days. In other words, you work in the warehouse, I know you don't steal. You've been there for 6 months. You don't steal. You're nice to people. You're really good with numbers. And so I say to myself, this person has the basis for what I need. I'm going to move them up. Now, yeah, you're going to have to replace the person in the warehouse, but you're going to always advertise for that position and say, this is a starting position within our business. You got to give people something to hope. Like, this is your job. No, this is your job now. But, I've been speaking to you and I have a feeling that you want to move up. And most everybody is going to say, yes. Listen, one of the issues right now with people, we're talking about that generation Y, X and Y. In my neighborhood, 4 houses were sold in the last year. They went for over $450,000. The people who bought them were under the age of 40. They both work. They have big time jobs, all remote jobs. And I know them all well because I'm nosy. I mean, I ask them these questions. What a great job. You must be making a lot of money to own this house. And they all go, together we're making a lot of money. So I said, it must be a great job. Every one of them said, no, the job stinks. I said, what do you mean? How could it stink? You're making like 180, 200,000. Why does it stink? I don't know. I'm thinking I ought to move on. All 4 of them said the exact same thing. I was like, what? You got a job that's paying a lot of money. You own this house. And one girl that I'm really friendly with said, Liz, I have to keep this job for a while because we own this house and the mortgage and the taxes are up there. None of them have kids. The most they get is a dog or a cat. And that's like a big deal to start with. They don't want this. So we can't expect that we bring in somebody and they're going to stay forever, even because it's not always about money. It's about, like you said, do I get enough time off? Can I run over and see? Can I run over to the nursing home? They called me. They want me to come. Can you let me off for that? Can I call you and say, I know I'm going to have a problem on Thursday when I go to visit the doctor, right? I have to have an appointment with the doctor who is taking care of my mother. So we have all of these things going on right now that we really have to pay attention to, right? So let's start with who we know, who we can trust in our business, and start shuffling them around. Make it exciting for them. Give them a new title. People love titles. I hate when people say, well, we don't. Yes, we do need titles because it defines in your mind what your job is, and it defines to other people a ranking. And that's truly important. So we first start from within, and then where else are we going to look? We're going to go to the colleges. I just, for somebody that I coach, we just found, we got an intern. Took me, oh my God, it was awful getting an intern. We got an intern. We put together a training program for the intern. This is a really small store. He has he has 1 employee beside himself and 4 installation crews. And so the young man that we got turned out to be super, super good. He took a 3-hour workshop with me, and it was continuing education for realtors, but he came to that class. He learned all about flooring. He had all kinds of information from his suppliers, and he hired him.
But he had no flooring experience before that, just fresh off.
No, he had the skills. What are the skills you need? You need people who are honest. You need people who are smart. You need people who want to change. You need people who can get along with other people. It's really hard to teach these skills. If you get a jerk, you got a jerk. Right. I mean, it's sort of like they don't change. But can I teach you flooring? Good heavens. The kid's in business school. It's a 2-year school.
Learn. The flexibility piece goes both ways.
Yes. And as you know, years and years ago, we always hired somebody. Were you in the flooring business? Perfect. We're going to hire you. So now you went to work and you brought everything you knew 50 years ago with you. I teach these classes for Mohawk. There'd always be somebody in the back row would say, do you know anything about 401 nylon? And I go, I don't even know what you're talking about. Oh, that was in 1968. And then they would go on, and I'm thinking, these are the people that we get to train the new ones we bring in. No, give it up. You need people who can think. And as you say, they can think they're practical, they fit into our culture, and they want to change and they want to move. See, these people in my little neighborhood, they should have bosses that are saying to them, there, two of them are engineers, which is even more interesting. I know they're making a big buck. And somebody should be saying to them, because I already said it to them, I know what they want to be when they grow up next year, that year. I would know what to do with them if I was in the hiring, if I was a hiring person in their job, I would know exactly because I would have asked them. And they're like fascinating, these people. They really are talented and bored, making over 200 grand. And I'm thinking, used to be if you made that money, you just went home and said, I hate my boss, but it doesn't matter. Now we say, I hate my boss, I'm leaving. So you got to hire from within. You got to train people from within. What you're looking for are those people skills. And you need people that are flexible. Like you said, the employer has to be flexible. You can't, nobody wants to join your family. That was 50 years ago. You were part of my flooring family. No, I don't want to be part of your family. I got my own family.
You know, that's something I hear a lot is that, you know, businesses describe themselves like a family, and that's great. But we have to remember what's truly sacred to people is their own families. So if that's most important, our training process and our development processes have to support those values.
You're absolutely correct. And here's the other thing about families. When we have families, I've worked with family-owned businesses. The biggest issue is, how come I can't get my sister to do what she needs to do? I called her to work Saturday night and she doesn't want to work. Oh, I want to go on vacation. I'm leaving tomorrow for vacation. Or my son decided he was going on vacation. Did he tell anybody? No, he just said he was going. So I have to pick up after him, just like I did when he was throwing his socks around. Right? So families, the way we treat families, people, is not necessarily so good. So nobody wants to belong to your family. What they want to belong to is their own life and their own family.
Right. They want their own family.
Yeah, it used to be if you were part of my family, oh, it was so wonderful. You were dear to my heart. But yeah, you were like an indentured servant, because that's what families are like. Just ask anybody who's in a family-owned business, boy, it feels like an indentured servitude because you're expected. And then you start looking, and which is even really more interesting, is to look at where people were born in the family. It's like the firstborn, the second, and those roles that you really get, because that's just growing up. You're the oldest, you're supposed to take care of the youngest. You know, my job was to take care of my sister. My sister didn't need me to take care of her, no way. She was inducted into the World Floor Covering Hall of Fame. She knew what to do. I still thought my job was to take care of her all the time. And I worry about it. One day she said to me, you know what, Liz? I know you want to take care, but she would call me in the middle of the night because she just got a new dog and the dog was thrown up all night and I had to come down and figure it out because I was the big sister. So we play these roles, and when you're hiring, you kind of have to forget those things. That's the way the world was. And, it was that way because we didn't have employees, a lot of them. We had to depend on family for stuff. And now, like I said, people don't want to be indentured servants in anybody's business. And the other thing is they need some flexibility and some latitude. And so and if you're looking for, the first thing you ought to do is look for people and be stealing them. You should be going out. My friend said he's an optometrist, and he hired the best receptionist from Dunkin' Donuts. He used to go the same place for Dunkin' Donuts in the morning, and there was this one woman who always waited on him, and she smiled, and she was courteous, and he said she never screwed up on the change either. And he said, I could trust her. I just knew it. He said, I hired her. He said, one day I slipped her a note. She says, listen, I got another job for you, and I know it's better than this. She hired him. She's been with him for 8 years.
So if you really know what you're looking for and what's important to you as a business, you may find some candidates in unlikely places.
Now, yeah, and there's one more place that I think is kind of really a smart thing to look at, which is the employees that work for you. Let's say you work for me, Michelle, and I should look at top-notch employees. You are my top-notch woman. You're the one. So I say to myself, Michelle, you know what a good salesperson is supposed to be like because you are super. So here's what I'll do. I'm going to give you $500 to go find me somebody exactly like you. Now, We're going to try that person out for 3 months. You're going to train them. And at the end of 3 months, if they meet the quotas, the behaviors, and all the things that we've set out for them, you got $500. You can bet your behind that Michelle is out there at the gym. She's at the grocery store. She's at the school and the daycare center, and she is looking for her clone. And she knows she's going to give her $1,000. It's going to cost you $20,000 if you screw up and you get the wrong person. Costs a lot of money to hire costs a lot of money to hire the wrong person. But
absolutely. So building an employee referral program can replace some of the effort that you would have to put into recruiting, outside through ads and stuff like that. There's a lot of creative ways to find people that I think are quite overlooked. And that's going to be part of what we're discussing in our workshop about hiring coming up on February 10th.
Yeah, in fact, in the workshop that we're going to do, right? And that would be that the 3 of us are going to be in there. So people who come to that seminar are going to have the benefit of your skills and the benefits of Rachel's and myself. And we're going to look at all kinds of different ways, and we're going to show you how to approach these people. How do you make that agreement with Michelle? I mean, not everybody can do these kind of things. Oh, I don't know if I could ask Michelle to do that. I wouldn't know how to do it. How do I talk to the lady in Dunkin' Donuts without her thinking I'm trying to pick her up? I mean, people got all this crap going on. They really do. So we're going to teach them how to do some of these. We're going to teach them how to write that ad and how to go through the interview process so that you don't get snockered into hiring the person who's just like you. Look, the salesperson's job is to sell themselves to you. We're going to talk about things. What do they know about your business? People not to hire. People who know nothing about you. People who don't know anything about your business. Those are the wrong people because they're not inquisitive. They're not interested. They're only interested in themselves. So we're going to teach you those kinds of things in those kinds of ways, right? And you're going to be able to talk about how do you hire the person who is just like the best person you have in your business.
Right.
What's the way you do it? And, Rachel can talk about how do you develop that training program? You have a training program before you hire, because if you know what you're going to train them on, then as you hire, you're going to be answering those questions to see where they fit. Rapport. Can they build rapport? Can they close? You're going to find a way to ask them or teach you the right question to see if they know how to close. What happens when the customer tells you no? What do you say? No, I don't know. I just wait for them to say yes. X through that one. No, people are closed on the 5th time. It takes 5 times to close the customer. But people don't know how to keep asking. Oh, what will they think of me? Oh my God, they think I'm so aggressive. Oh my heavens, oh man, they're not going to like me. Who cares? The thing is to understand what do you need to do to close that sale and to still get liked. And
we're going to be talking about how to sort that out at the interview stage. In our workshop, you'll be at Surfaces Wednesday presenting live on the main stage. Also will be cast virtually and available on demand after that. Liz, people can sign up for the hiring workshop that we are putting on February 10th at womenflooring.com/hiring.
Right. Terrific. So they can do it there. And if you're coming to Surfaces, let's say you didn't sign up there, you're coming to Surfaces, we're going to have something for you to sign up in Surfaces, right? And listen, we're only going to have 25 people, right? So space is limited. And if you want to get right to this, then you want to sign up right away, because once we get over that, then we're going to have to plan another day. But the thing is, the first time we do it, we're going to have a lot of energy. So don't be waiting until the 5th time we do it. How many times we're going to have to do it. Listen, hiring, again, is not only something you learn, it's an art. And you have to have a sense about what humans are like and what matters to them when you hire. So like you said, okay, you can join me at Surfaces. Don't forget, it's on Wednesday from 11 to 12. You'll have to look at where it is. Sometimes they do change the rooms, by the way. And then we're going to do February 12th.
February 10th, online.
February 10th. We're going to do it online. So sign up for that. It's going to be fast paced. There's going to be lots of things lots of handouts. And listen, get more than one person to take that class, so that when you're done, you can talk about it, right?
Mhm.
And you can say, okay, this is what we got. And we'll do some coaching afterwards. And if you want us to come to your store, we'll come there too, right, Michelle?
That's correct. So we brought this to you guys, and we developed the workshop because it is such a hot topic in our group, Women of the Flooring Business. And if you have any questions or want to discuss this further, please comment below this video. We're going to be watching and engaged with the discussion because it's so important right now.
Michelle, this is a great topic that, you said, let's do it. And so I'm glad that we did it. Let's get people to begin to think about, how do I hire for the future?
Mm-hmm.
What's the future going to be like? None of us know, but we have signs. And so, it's all about internet. It's all about what you know about technology, but we don't have to hire for technology. Can I just say one more thing? I hate when people say, well, I'm going to see if they can fill all this stuff out, and then I'm going to give them a little crash thing. They have to see if they answer it right, because it's all about technology. What do you care? You can teach them technology. What you can't teach them is to be nice, to be kind, and to have good values. You can't teach that. So whatever else you're worrying about, you can do it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Liz. Thank you so much. See you all in the group, and talk to you soon.
See you next week.
That's right.
So long.
Bye.